Hi, this is Lisa Louise Cook with the Genealogy Gems YouTube channel and podcast. And joining me, again, we've had you on the show before, but the first time you were on the show, you were new to all this RootsTech stuff. One week. Remember Dennis Brimhall? He is sort of the CEO of FamilySearch. He says I can call him Hey You or whatever works.
Hey You works great.
Everybody here knows who Dennis is. And wow, do you look comfortable and confident. And now you're asking me about the pictures in my necklace. So this man, I think, is hooked into family history. You have been bitten hard.
Well, you know, I'm not a genealogist by nature, but you can't, once you get kind of away from names, dates, and places and into pictures and stories and people, it's a universal bug. It gets you. It's very contagious and very addictive. And so you can't do it and not see a picture like that of your grandmother and ask, tell me about the picture. And then once you ask that question, you always get a story. Well, that's what it is, you know. That's the common thing, are these stories. People cannot resist telling the story.
Exactly. And you know, I think even more than if I had had a document on my lap and you saw the document, yes, we could talk about it, but we tend to get a little more in our head. When you see the picture, we start talking from our heart, I think, about the story. And that's something that I've been seeing coming to the website, the FamilySearch.org website, is you're incorporating photos and memories.
Well, and that's what we realized. You know, we're always concerned about how you get more people engaged. And there's a certain group of people, rightfully and correctly, who are really passionate about the names, dates, and places. And they're great researchers, and we couldn't live without them, and we want to support them, and we want to be there. But now we say, what about the other, 95%? Because in the United States, it's only about 2.5% of the people who have genealogy as an active hobby. Everybody has an interest in it, but as an active hobby, it's a pretty small number. And so how do you get that bigger? Well, we've asked the question, done a lot of research, and we figured the way is just like that. You see a picture, you know a story. And I'm in some ways, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you that until a year ago, there was no way to attach a story to a name in the FamilySearch tree. Now imagine, we've been at this 100 years. We've kind of led this work for years and years and years. And the most important things about it, we couldn't even do it a year ago.
You know, you were talking about that last night at the media dinner that we did, and what really struck me was you come in and you're new, and this is new to you and new to genealogy, and some of us are like, oh, why are they switching people at the top? Because it seems like that continuity. But what happened was you got this completely fresh set of eyes. In a sense, you're representative of the 95% that the rest of us would love to bring in. I mean, and that makes you ideal in a leadership role to see it with fresh eyes.
There's different opinions about that. There are people who probably say, who is this Philistine who's joined our ranks? But I guess when I came in, the only thing I knew when I got here, because I will never be invited into the inner circles of genealogy. I mean, I know that. I'm comfortable with that. But when I came, I asked the question, why am I not doing it? So I wasn't really doing anything. Now look, I'm a pedestrian family historian. I knew my family history. I've read things, pedigree charts, but I wasn't actively engaged. And I kept asking myself, why not? Because I consider myself very typical. I mean, I don't.
And that's the perfect question to answer.
Yeah, why am I not doing it?
Right.
Well, a couple of things came very clear why I'm not doing it, and that is it's hard work. I don't find it particularly interesting. It's hard to do one and stop and then start again. I don't see myself there. I can't start and see the big picture and know where I fit in. It's so complex, I don't even know where I start or where to fit in. All of these things were things I couldn't figure out. And so the question is, how do you solve those things? How do you take something that is difficult and complex in most people's minds and make it fun? Well, the first thing to do is don't start with name, dates, and places. If you want to
don't start the way you've been doing it for 100 years, which, I can see.
If you want to turn people off, start with that. But if you say, listen, here's a picture of your grandfather, tell us a story. Everybody, just like you did with your grandmother, everybody will do that. So how do you facilitate that? Now, that's not to say that we're not, in 50 countries doing archival work and collecting things. We're doing all that as well, because at some point people will get past the living memory and want the records. So it's as Jim Collins, who wrote the book Built to Last, he said, it's not the tyranny of the or, it's the genius of the and. And it's the genius of having not only the genealogical side of it, but the family history side of it that work together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like when I talk to people and you go in their homes and there isn't a picture, an ancestor picture on the wall, or there's no chart, or there's no anything, and I'm like, and I went back to my own house and had to really kind of analyze, does this house reflect a woman who values
what's on your refrigerator door?
Exactly. And, of course, now the kids say, oh, Mom, this house is like a museum. Are you kidding? But it's not just the pictures, but it's the artifacts or the little things that have been pulled back out of drawers. But I really feel like that could lead to discovery for somebody, because we never know in the next generation which of these kids is going to be the one who gets the spark and understands it.
Well, and that's true. And that then I think raises the issue, and that is we have always looked, be careful, there has been a tendency over the years to think of genealogy as looking back.
Right.
It's a backward-looking exercise. Right. But we will be somebody's backward-looking exercise someday.
Yeah.
So great-grandchildren of ours will look back. And so we don't need to fill our home with historical artifacts to be doing family history. Right. We fill our home with what we have in our lives every day, but we preserve it and record it, because it may be quite confusing if people look at our homes and we've got it filled up with stuff from the 1800s. They'll say it's like having 8-track stereo tapes stacked around. But what they're going to want to know is they're going to know what we cherished and what we wanted. So it's the past, it's who we are today, and it's thinking of those who will look back and see us. And if we look at it in that continuum, then all of a sudden this isn't just names, dates, and places. This is something significantly more than that. And we've learned the other thing, and Facebook taught us this. Today, if you have it but can't share it, you generally won't do anything with it.
That's true.
Sharing is the part of this that makes it real in the lives of today, particularly with the kids. I've learned your kids won't do goofy things unless they take a picture of it, because why would they do it unless they could take a picture of it? And so it's this sharing that is the key to the future. Now, if we can master the sharing concept with the people who use it and say, look, you not only can find this great story of an ancestor, but you get to share it. That is the fulfillment. That completes the circle.
Yeah.
You get the joy out of seeing it, but if you can share that with somebody, zip it off to your grandkids and say, here's a picture of your great-grandfather, and they then end up with that picture on their wall because they think it's cool,
right,
then we've done our job.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to say, hey, look at the cowboy that was in my family?
Look
or this looks
that
like...
picture of my grandfather as a cowboy is on the walls of my grandson's bedrooms.
Yeah.
And they put it up there, and they tell them that's my great-grandfather. It's actually their great-great-grandfather, but he's a cowboy. And they say, Grandpa, come and look at your picture that you sent us. And I thought, victory,
Well, you made the good point last night. You said, not a one of them can help themselves. They have to click the link. You've got to send them a link. You've got to share stuff. They're going to check it out. And then, in a sense, they get a little taste of the discovery that we've enjoyed as a researcher in, what's going to be on the other side. And what does that mean? And, what else do I want to learn about it?
It's a discovery on their terms.
Yeah, exactly.
And their terms is what they use and they're familiar with. If we try to force discovery on our terms, which is pour over census records, they'll have the natural reaction. I wouldn't.
Right.
I get into census records every now and again, and I kind of enjoy them. I'm not going to enjoy them half as much as I will obituaries.
Yeah.
Because obituaries contain a story, and that's what you want. So we're really excited about what will happen if we can.
Well, I was going to say, so what are you most excited about? But I have a feeling that is probably the project. It's that obituary project. Tell everybody what's going to happen.
Well, there's 2 or 3 things that are exciting. Let me get to obituaries. We're very excited about the partnership deals, the things we're doing with partners, because in the long run, 50 years from today, that may be the legacy we leave, is that we're all working together instead of in other areas. We're very excited about the changes we made and the photos and stories. But if you look at an area that we think for for both genealogists and family historians, it is probably the richest thing we can do right now, in addition to archival retrieval and imaging and so forth, is these obituaries. And we went out there and found who's got them. Well, there are companies out there who have preserving newspapers.
All right.
And when they preserve newspapers, they naturally preserve the obituaries. But it's been difficult to find out how to get the obituary out of the newspaper, so you don't have to search newspapers to find the obituary.
Right.
So there are companies out there that do that, and they have hundreds of millions of obituaries, but they're not searchable by name. So you would say grandmother died at, at a given place at about this time, and you would search through newspapers until you found the right one. So once we have those obituaries imaged and available, we feed them out to the indexers. The indexers then type them in, which we found that they like it because it has a story. Now, census stuff is fun, and immigration records are fun, but it has a picture a lot of times and a story and full of family information.
It's like a cluster research where we see the person part of their community, the people around them, the people who came to their funeral. I mean, it's not just them stand alone.
Yeah, that one we showed today, 42 family connections from one obituary. Wow. 42 family connections. And then we actually took one of those and tracked it down and found the records for each one of those 42 people in our record search. See, then from each one of those, you get another dozen.
Really?
And so, you're into multiples of 42. But the thing that's more important is you get to read the story of the person. Where they were born, where they went to high school, what they did, what was interesting to them. This person was a great gardener. This person really enjoyed restoring automobiles or something. All of that's found in there, and then the picture. And so we get to do everything. We get the two dates and the dash, yes, all from one place. And there's really no place else we get both of those.
Well, it's interesting because you were asking about my grandmother, and her parents had come to California, and I told you that they bought some land, right, and they get there and they find out this doesn't exist, and they have to go back to square one. And it was his obituary, my great-grandfather's obituary, was the only place where it showed up that he had worked at the Trost Ranch out in LeGrand. Yeah. And I looked at that, and a memory came rushing back from when I was a child, and my grandmother telling me the story.
Right.
And all she said was it was a local ranch, but he was the foreman and she was the cook. I think they did it about 5 years, so they had enough money saved up.
Yeah, to go back.
And it was the obituary that brings back memories out of the recesses of our mind. It's exciting.
I don't know that obituaries, it's not like a earth-shaking thing, but it's a major new opportunity, yeah, to collect the photos and the stories and the dates and the names and the places that we're excited about, and because we've been able to do these deals in the last little while.
Right.
The thing that happened 18 months ago was we said our future is partners, and once we kind of got that into our brain, huge opportunities opened up. I mean, the big ones that we know about Ancestry, Find My Past and My Heritage, but those are just the big ones. The other ones are partnership things that we're doing, People Finder, and these are just enormously powerful partnerships that are coming to the table now, and everybody wants to do it. And it doesn't cost us anything,
and that's fabulous because it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
and
everybody wins.
So you're working together with, I know we saw Ancestry and My Heritage and Find My Past. I mean, great partners.
We've got 30 other partners that are certified. We're willing to share data. They're willing to, sometimes they have better experiences than we have, and they're willing to share that with us. Right. We're kind of out of this competitive mode. We don't feel any competition. We celebrate every single success they have, every time they do better, every time, because they just take that money and pour it back into more records and better experiences. So we celebrate every success they have. We try hard to make them successful, and then likewise we're successful by what they do. So it's really a new era for us. It's going to make a huge difference going forward.
It's exciting. Well, and you see it all here around us,
yeah,
because RootsTech is the kind of coming together of the whole tribe.
Yeah, look at all these partners. These are all partners of ours.
They are. Yeah, well, Dennis, I'm so happy to have you come back and check back in with us. And so many strides have been made since the last time we chatted. I am looking forward to the next chat.
Well, I like I said last night, a couple of years at this, I'm no smarter, but I'm a bit wiser. So
wonderful. Thank you so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show.
Glad to do it.